Don't overlook the penny in your pocket. Some Lincoln and wheat pennies with rare dates, mint marks, or minting errors are selling for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Before you spend that 1 cent, check closely. You might be holding a hidden fortune. The 1991 United States 1-cent penny, featuring the enduring image of Abraham Lincoln, is one of those coins that most Americans have handled countless times without ever considering its story. For many, it's just a single cent, a small copper-colored coin tossed into a change jar or left behind on a counter. Yet beneath its ordinary appearance lies a fascinating piece of American coinage history. And for collectors, the 1991 penny can represent far more than a simple denomination. With its varieties, errors, and the rare examples preserved in pristine condition, this little coin has managed to create big excitement in the numismatic world. Some error examples of the 1991 penny have fetched incredible auction prices, with certain specimens bringing in figures that climb into the tens of thousands, reaching levels that could rival the cost of a new car or even contribute to a house down payment. The Lincoln cent has a rich history dating back to 1909, when it was first struck to celebrate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features Lincoln's right-facing profile, making it the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real person instead of a symbolic figure like Liberty. By 1991, the Lincoln cent was in its 82nd year of production, still carrying Brenner's portrait, but updated with refinements over the decades. On the obverse, you'll see the familiar inscriptions. "In God We Trust" arched across the top, "Liberty" positioned to the left of Lincoln, and the date 1991 to the right, along with a mint mark indicating whether the coin was struck at Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. The reverse of the 1991 penny continued to feature the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo and first introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The Lincoln Memorial design was itself historic, as it marked a major departure from the wheat stalks that had graced the reverse since 1909. Above the memorial are the words United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum directly beneath. At the bottom sits the denomination, 1 cent. Careful collectors also know that with a magnifying glass, you can actually spot a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial between the columns, making this the only U.S. circulating coin to depict the same person on both sides. The composition of the 1991 penny is part of what makes it distinct from earlier generations. For decades, Lincoln cents had been struck in bronze, a mixture of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. But rising copper costs in the early 1980s forced the U.S. Mint to change the formula. Starting in 1982, the penny shifted to a primarily zinc core, 97.5% zinc, with a thin copper plating, 2.5%. By 1991, this new composition was well established, meaning the pennies of that year were lightweight at 2.5 grams, much different from their heavier, copper-rich ancestors. Collectors today keep a keen eye on pennies from this era, since transitional errors sometimes occurred during the composition switch, leading to rare and highly valuable coins. When it comes to mintage, the 1991 penny is by no means rare in sheer numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 4.1 billion, the Denver Mint produced more than 4.2 billion, and the San Francisco Mint, dedicated to proof coins for collectors, made over 2.8 million proofs. With such staggering production, the overwhelming majority of 1991 pennies will only ever be worth 1 cent. But as with many coins, it's the exceptional survivors and minting mistakes that turn an ordinary penny into a collector's treasure. Condition is one of the biggest factors that affects value. Most 1991 pennies circulated heavily, collecting scratches, wear, and discoloration. But examples that remain in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially those graded mint state 67 or 68, are very scarce. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have only certified a handful of these high-grade coins, making them highly desirable among collectors. A sharp, well-struck 1991 penny with blazing luster and minimal flaws can sell for several hundred or even over $1,000. Proof versions struck at the San Francisco Mint add another layer of desirability, particularly those with the coveted deep cameo finish, where frosted design elements contrast beautifully against mirror-like fields. In the highest grades, these proofs can fetch strong prices at auction. But the real excitement comes from errors and varieties. The U.S. Mint produces billions of coins each year, and with such massive production, mistakes are bound to happen. Some 1991 pennies exhibit dramatic minting errors that collectors eagerly chase. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing due to misalignment, can sell for impressive sums, especially if the date is still visible. Double strikes, where the coin was struck twice creating overlapping designs, are also prized. Broad strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks all add interest and value. One of the most intriguing categories of collectible pennies are double die varieties. While none as famous as the legendary 1955 double die penny are known for 1991, smaller double die varieties do exist and can bring in premium prices. Transitional errors, though extremely rare by 1991, are another possibility. These are coins struck on the wrong type of planchet, such as an earlier copper planchet instead of zinc, and when discovered, they become numismatic treasures. Auction results show just how valuable a 1991 penny can be in the right form. While common examples are worth a cent, high-grade coins and spectacular errors have reached jaw-dropping prices. Certain pristine examples have crossed the $5,000 mark, while dramatic error pennies have sold for tens of thousands. In fact, collectors have paid between $43,000 and $125,000 at major auctions for some of the rarest and most dramatic 1991 error pennies. That kind of price for a coin most people overlook in their change is exactly what makes the hunt so thrilling. That it's worth noting that coins from this era remain in circulation, meaning there's always a chance to find one of these valuable varieties in your pocket change, though the odds are slim. That possibility, however, fuels the passion of collectors and treasure hunters alike. Every coin roll from the bank, every jar of spare change, holds the promise of discovery. It's this sense of adventure that has kept coin collecting alive for generations. The 1991 Lincoln cent is a perfect example of how even the most ordinary-seeming coin can hold extraordinary stories. It represents a moment in U.S. coinage when copper had already been replaced by zinc, yet the public still saw a familiar copper-colored coin. It reflects the timeless design of Lincoln, a president whose legacy remains powerful. And in its rarest forms, whether flawless mint state gems or dramatic mint errors, it demonstrates that value in coin collecting isn't just about face value, but about rarity, condition, and the unexpected quirks of the minting process. So the next time you come across a penny dated 1991, don't dismiss it as just a cent. Look closely. Inspect its surfaces, check for unusual strikes, and consider its condition. You might be holding something far more special than you realize. For some lucky finders and collectors, that little penny has turned out to be worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even over $100,000 at auction. And that's the beauty of coins like the 1991 Lincoln cent. Proof that treasures can still be hiding in plain sight, right there in your pocket change. The 1995 United States 1-cent penny might appear as nothing more than an ordinary copper-plated coin that countless Americans have carried in their pockets, dropped into vending machines, or tossed into change jars over the years. But for those who understand numismatics, this humble penny tells a story far greater than its 1-cent face value. The year 1995 gave collectors one of the most famous modern errors in United States coinage history, and that error transformed what could have been an entirely forgettable date into a highly sought-after treasure. The 1995 double die obverse penny stands out as one of the most widely recognized and collectible modern varieties, proving that even a coin as common as a Lincoln cent can, under the right circumstances, become an icon worth far more than most people could imagine. To truly understand why the 1995 penny matters, you have to appreciate its place in the Lincoln cent series. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent has long been a fixture of American coinage. By 1995, it had already gone through several design and composition changes. The reverse still featured Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959, with the tiny figure of Lincoln seated inside the memorial visible under magnification. The obverse still carried Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most enduring images on American coinage in 1995. The mint struck pennies at both Philadelphia and Denver. While billions of coins were produced and distributed nationwide, it was the Philadelphia Mint that became the source of the double die obverse variety that would excite collectors. For those unfamiliar, A double die occurs when a coin die receives two impressions from a hub that are slightly misaligned. This misalignment creates the effect of doubling in the design elements struck on the coin. On the 1995 double die obverse cent, the doubling is bold and easily visible, especially in the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Collectors loved this variety precisely because the doubling did not require magnification. It could be seen with the naked eye. When these coins first entered circulation, collectors immediately took notice. Word spread quickly, and the 1995 double die penny became one of the most talked about finds of the decade. It was a reminder to everyone that valuable coins could still be discovered in pocket change, and that one person's ordinary cent could be another person's numismatic prize. Unlike many obscure double die varieties that require expertise and magnification, this one was dramatic enough that even casual hobbyists could spot it. That accessibility fueled its popularity and ensured its place in the spotlight. In terms of value, condition makes a huge difference. Circulated examples of the 1995 double die obverse penny can sell for several dollars, but uncirculated examples are where the real money is. Coins graded MS65 or higher by professional services such as PCGS or NGC often bring prices in the hundreds, while top-graded examples in MS68 or higher have reached auction prices in the thousands. Some of the finest known examples have sold at major auctions for four-figure sums, cementing the coin's status as one of the most desirable modern Lincoln cents. The Denver Mint, on the other hand, did not produce this double die variety, so all known examples come from Philadelphia. That fact adds a layer of distinction, since collectors know exactly where the variety originated. Proof cents struck at San Francisco also did not feature this error, which further narrows the focus to circulation strikes from Philadelphia. Auction results highlight the enduring popularity of the 1995 double die penny. Well-preserved, uncirculated examples have sold for more than $2,000, with the best certified coins sometimes climbing even higher. Even circulated coins with strong doubling are actively collected, showing that this variety appeals to a broad range of hobbyists, from beginners to advanced specialists. Its fame in numismatic literature, magazines, and online communities has only increased demand. What makes the story even more fascinating is how this era bridged the gap between casual collectors and serious numismatists. For many people in the 1990s, the 1995 double die penny was their first introduction to the concept that coins could be worth far more than face value. It sparked curiosity, encouraged people to search their pocket change, and created new generations of collectors. Even today, when someone learns about era coins, the 1995 double die penny is often one of the first examples mentioned. But beyond the famous double die, the 1995 Lincoln cent also exists in a range of conditions and with minor errors that appeal to specialists. Off-center strikes, die cracks, and other minting mishaps occasionally appear, and while they don't reach the heights of the double die in terms of fame or value, they still add depth to the collecting experience. A 1995 cent struck off-center with part of the design missing can bring $50 to $200 depending on severity, while more dramatic planchet errors can exceed those numbers. At its core, though, the 1995 penny story is about how a simple mistake turned into an enduring treasure. It's about how ordinary coins can suddenly become extraordinary, and how those extraordinary coins can connect collectors across generations. Whether discovered in circulation in the mid-1990s or purchased today in a certified holder, the 1995 double die obverse cent continues to hold a special place in the hearts of numismatists. For anyone holding on to pennies from this period, it is worth taking a closer look. The difference between an ordinary 1995 penny and one with the double die obverse could be the difference between 1 cent and hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Auction records prove that collectors are willing to pay strong prices for the best examples, and the fame of this coin ensures that demand will remain steady well into the future. The 1995 1-cent penny reminds us once again that value often hides in plain sight. It might be sitting in an old coin jar, resting in a drawer, or overlooked in circulation. But for those who know what to look for, the sharp doubling in Liberty and In God We Trust, this little copper-plated coin becomes a symbol of history, rarity, and opportunity. And as long as people search their change in hopes of finding a hidden gem, the story of the 1995 penny will continue to inspire excitement and fascination. The 2003 United States 1-cent penny may seem like one of the most ordinary coins you could find in your pocket change. Millions of people carried it around, spent it at stores, and never thought twice about it. But for coin collectors and those who know the fascinating world of numismatics, the 2003 penny is not just another piece of copper-plated zinc. It is part of an enduring American tradition, tied to the history of Abraham Lincoln, and in certain rare circumstances, it can be worth far more than its face value. To understand why this coin stands out, we have to take a closer look at its design, its production, and the incredible values that special examples have brought at auctions. On the obverse or front of the 2003 penny, we see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design dates all the way back to 1909, when it was first introduced to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. For over a century, Lincoln's bust has graced the cent, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. The 2003 cent shows Lincoln facing right, with the inscriptions "Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust," and the date 2003. Beneath the date is the mint mark, which indicates where the coin was struck. The reverse of the 2003 cent displays the classic Lincoln Memorial design, created by Frank Gasparo and introduced in 1959. This design replaced the wheat ears reverse used from 1909 through 1958. In Gasparo's design, the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. dominates the coin's back, with United States of America across the top and 1 cent at the bottom. The motto "E pluribus unum" is centered above the memorial. A small detail that collectors enjoy is that if you look closely with magnification, you can actually see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. In 2003, pennies were struck at 3 locations: Philadelphia, with a P mint mark or no mint mark at all; Denver, with a D mint mark; and San Francisco, with an S mint mark for proof coins. The Philadelphia Mint produced more than 3.3 billion coins, Denver struck around 3.5 billion, and San Francisco produced about 3 million proof cents for collectors. With totals like these, it's easy to see why the 2003 penny in circulated condition is extremely common and worth only 1 cent. But condition, errors, and rare varieties completely change the story. High-grade examples of the 2003 penny can be surprisingly valuable. Collectors seek coins graded mint state 67 or higher, especially those certified by PCGS or NGC. An ordinary 2003 penny in circulation is essentially worthless to collectors, but a pristine red example with blazing luster and no marks can bring strong premiums. MS-67 coins often sell for $30 to $50, while MS-68 examples have reached into the hundreds. In some rare instances, registry collectors competing for the finest sets have bid up prices to $800 or more for coins at the absolute top of the grading scale. The 2003 S-proof pennies, struck for collectors, are also desirable when graded PR70 deep cameo, which means they are essentially flawless with sharp frosted details and deep mirror fields. These can sell for $50 to $150, depending on demand. Where things get especially interesting is in error coins. Minting errors on the 2003 cent are rare, but when they appear, they can turn a 1-cent coin into something worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. For example, off-center strikes are known. These errors occur when the blank planchet is not properly aligned in the press, leaving part of the design missing and a crescent of blank metal showing. Minor off-centers might sell for $20 to $50, but dramatic examples showing 40% or more off-center with the date still visible can fetch $200 to $400 at auction. Double strike errors are another fascinating variety. These happen when the coin is struck twice, sometimes with the design overlapping or rotated between strikes. A clear double strike can bring anywhere from $100 to $500, depending on the severity. Broad strikes, where the coin expands outside its normal diameter due to missing the restraining collar during striking, are also known. These usually sell for $40 to $100. Then there are die clash errors, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring faint images onto each other. When one of these coins reaches circulation, the ghost-like extra designs can sell for $50 to $150. The most valuable errors, however, are those involving wrong planchets. A few 2003 pennies are known to have been struck on blanks intended for other coins, like dimes or nickels. Imagine a copper-colored design showing through on a dime-sized coin. That kind of error is extremely rare and highly collectible. These wrong planchet strikes can bring 4-figure prices at auction. sometimes ranging from $1,000 to $3,000 or more. Auction history proves how much collectors value rare 2003 pennies. For instance, a 2003 decent graded MS68 red by PCGS sold for nearly $750 at auction, a staggering amount for a coin most people would overlook. Another proof example in PR70 Deep Cameo sold for just over $120. And dramatic error coins, such as those struck on dime planchets, have fetched well over $2,000. What makes the 2003 penny so fascinating is the contrast between its ordinariness and its potential. Billions were produced, yet only a handful are preserved in perfect condition or escaped the mint with dramatic errors. For collectors, this creates a thrilling challenge: to sort through change, search rolls, or examine proof sets in hopes of finding one of these hidden gems. It's also worth noting that the 2003 penny represents the tail end of the Lincoln Memorial reverse design, which would be replaced in 2009 by the Lincoln Bicentennial Cent Program and then permanently by the Union Shield reverse in 2010. That gives the 2003 penny a special place in the timeline of U.S. coinage. It belongs to an era that is now closed, making it historically significant for collectors. So the next time you come across a 2003 penny, don't just see it as a single cent. Look closely. Does it shine with brilliant red luster and appear untouched? Could it be a high-grade piece worthy of certification? Does it show signs of doubling, misalignment, or some other unusual feature that could make it valuable? You might just be holding a coin worth hundreds, maybe even thousands, far more than its face value. The lesson here is clear. In coin collecting, the smallest and most ordinary objects can carry hidden treasures. The 2003 penny is a reminder to check your change, pay attention to detail, and never assume that something so common can't also be extraordinary. For collectors, every penny counts, sometimes in ways that can change a pocketful of coins into a story worth sharing for generations.